everyone, I am Dr. Barnita Haldar, and today I and Dr. Shonik Haldar will be discussing about a glimpse, a little bit about the endocrine system. So why endocrine system? So first of all, endocrine system is very important topic because every year in different pre-med exams, it covers a good percentage of questions. And not only that, the endocrine system is also very important on the clinical perspective. As a future physician, doctor, or nurses, you will be astonished how frequently you will encounter different diseases that are related to endocrine system. So endocrine system is basically like those movie directors. We cannot see them, but actually they are the most important aspects of the movie. So like without the help of movie directors, the actor cannot work in the movie. Similarly, here, without the regulation of endocrine system, the other important organ system in our body, such as cardiovascular system, central nervous system, they cannot work. So what is the endocrine system? Endocrine system is basically the network of glands that spreads throughout our body, starting from head, neck to lower part of our body. And each of these endocrine glands release a chemical substance that is known as hormone. And these hormones, once produced from these glands, travels throughout our whole body through blood circulation and reaches different distant organs. And once it reaches to its target organ, these different hormones perform their function. So what are the functions of endocrine system? Why it is so important for our body? So like I said before, that the endocrine system is like a movie director. It actually regulates the every phases of our life cycle. So for example, if you get attracted to someone, your heart starts racing, right? And you may hear someone is saying, oh, my hormone rushes. That is true. The adrenaline hormone, the thyroid hormone, these hormones now regulate your heart rate, your blood pressure. That's why your heart rate starts raising. So in the next phase, you get married to the same person, and now the baby will be born. So the reproduction. Again, there are hormones. The estrogen, progesterone, LH, FSH, all those hormones, they control our reproductive system. So then the mother is admitted to the hospital because the baby will be born. So now the doctor needs to check if the mother is properly hydrated or not. Mother needs saline or electrolytes or the glucose drip. So all these factors, they are again regulated by hormone. The water balance, that is very important for mother's body. Otherwise, mother will get dehydrated. That is regulated by one hormone known as antidiuretic hormone. Then the balance of electrolyte, that is also very important because sodium, potassium, all these ions, they regulate our blood pressure, our heart rate, our central nervous system, and all different vital factors. So that regulation of electrolyte balance, that is also done by one important hormone known as mineralocorticoid. And then the doctor needs to check if the mother needs glucose drip or not. Because the insulin hormone in our body, if that hormone not works properly, then that will show symptoms. And then the mother needs glucose drip. So you see, there every phases in our life, there are something like one or more than one hormones, they are involved, they regulate our life cycle. So then the baby is born and the baby needs milk to be drunk. So the production of milk, that is again regulated by hormone. The prolactin hormone, the oxytocin hormone, they control the milk production in our body. Then eventually the baby will grow bigger. So the growth and development of the baby, that is mediated by again another hormone known as growth hormone. The baby needs immunity for protection against the external environment. So the development of immune system, that is very important. So that is again regulated by one hormone, especially the glucocorticoid, also thyroid hormone. They help development of our immune system. So see, like all these 9 or 10 different functions of endocrine system, they are involved on each phases of our life cycle. So to understand the functions of endocrine system, you don't have to memorize like this hormone do that, this hormone does that. If you remember the phases of your life cycle, you can automatically remember the functions of endocrine system. Okay, so let's move forward to the next section. So we'll be discussing now the individual endocrine glands and the hormones which is produced by those glands and their functions. So before discussing the individual hormones, we first need to understand the hierarchy, the network of endocrine system, how this network is controlled in our body so that our vital organs activity is maintained. So like in the top of the field, there is president and vice president. Similarly, here in the endocrine system network, the president is hypothalamus and the vice president is pituitary. These two glands are situated in our brain and they act as a president and vice president and controls the whole endocrine system network. So the president and vice president produce some order, and that order is then sent to the next level in the ministry, which is the cabinet. So here in the endocrine system network, the cabinets are the different organs of our body, such as thyroid glands, adrenal glands, ovaries, testes. All these organs act as a cabinet. So like cabinet, they receives order from the vice president and move forwards and implements that order in the public and citizen level. And then after certain period of time, the public sends feedback for that order to the president and vice president. And according to that feedback, the order is again modified. So similarly here, that this network of endocrine gland is working in the same manner. So for example, if our body at some point needs the thyroid hormones production, then the hypothalamus send order to pituitary gland. Then the pituitary gland send the positive signal to the cabinet, which is the thyroid gland. So after getting the positive signal, the thyroid gland then releases thyroid hormone in our body. So then this thyroid hormones travels through the blood circulation and reaches to distant organs and perform their functions. So once the function of thyroid hormones are done, then the thyroid hormones send feedback signal to the president and vice president and tell them that my job is done. So you no longer need to send positive signal to the cabinet. So this is called the negative feedback signal. So after getting negative feedback signal from the thyroid hormones, the hypothalamus and pituitary stop sending more positive signal towards the thyroid gland. So then the thyroid hormone secretion is stopped for that moment. So in this way, the hypothalamic pituitary axis regulates the secretion of different hormones and maintains the homeostatic status of the hormones in our body. And in this way, the whole organ system works. So let's discuss about the hormones of hypothalamus. Like I said before, the hypothalamus is one of the important endocrine gland. It is located in our brain and it is the president. So hypothalamus sends positive signal in the form of releasing different type of tropic hormones. These tropic hormones then send positive signal to anterior pituitary gland, which is the vice president. So what are the four tropic hormones that are released from hypothalamus? They are gonadotropin releasing hormone, also known as GnRH. These hormones send positive signal to pituitary to release FSH and LH hormones. The second one is growth hormone releasing hormone. This sends signals to pituitary to release growth hormone. The third one is known as thyroid releasing hormone. This sends positive signal to pituitary to release thyroid stimulating hormones. And the fourth one is known as corticotropin releasing factor. So these hormones then send positive signals to pituitary to release adrenocorticotropic hormone. So these four are actually the orders of hypothalamus through which the vice president pituitary works to release certain kind of hormones in our body. So apart from these four tropic hormones, hypothalamus also makes two other hormones known as antidiuretic hormone and oxytocin. Although these two hormones are produced by hypothalamus, but both of these hormones are actually stored in the posterior part of pituitary gland. So whenever our body needs these two hormones, it is the posterior pituitary gland that releases these two hormones in our body. So these two hormones also produced by hypothalamus, but they are known as posterior pituitary hormone. So this point is very important because here there is some like catch, like these two hormones, they are produced by hypothalamus, but they are called as posterior pituitary hormones. So because of this critical point of catch, in every alternative years, different type of pre-med exams, they used to use this point to make some questions. So you need to remember this point very carefully because you may find some questions in your exam regarding to that. So let's move forward and discuss about the pituitary gland. So like I said before, the pituitary is the vice president. It is located just beneath the hypothalamus in the brain. And the pituitary is the most important endocrine gland in our body. It is also called the master gland. Like the master sends signals or an order to the lower level, similarly, the pituitary gland sends positive signal by releasing different hormones to the cabinet level or the different endocrine organs in our body. So the pituitary hormone, pituitary gland, according to their location, they are divided into two sections, the anterior pituitary section and the posterior pituitary section. So according to the location, the hormones are also divided, anterior pituitary hormone and the posterior pituitary hormone. So let's discuss about the anterior pituitary hormones. So there are 7 different hormones which are released from anterior part of pituitary gland. So you need to remember the 7 different hormones' name and their function. So by looking at the list, you may think that, oh, that this list is really very big and this is really overwhelming. How I can remember all these names and all these functions? But believe me, this is not that much difficult. You can use some tips and tricks always in for your studies by which you can easily remember the difficult things. Like I used to use these things in my medical school days. Whenever there is some difficult things or very big list, I used to remember few mnemonics. And if I remember those mnemonics, I can easily remember the names and their functions. So similarly, for anterior pituitary hormones, you can remember the mnemonic known as flat page. So F here stands for follicle stimulating hormone, L stands for luteinizing hormone, A stands for adrenocorticotropic hormone, T thyroid stimulating hormone, P is prolactin, E is endorphin, and G is growth hormone. So if you just remember this name, you can automatically remember the function of these hormones because the function lies in the name of these hormones. For example, in case of follicle stimulating hormone, the name says that this hormone's function is something that is related to stimulation of follicle. And in our body, one of the important follicle which is situated in our reproductive system is known as ovarian follicle. So automatically it tells that the function of FSH is related to reproductive system in our body. FSH is basically helps in production of eggs in our body. It helps in ovulation and also it helps in production of sperm in male reproductive system. So similarly for luteinizing hormone, the name says that it involves in something that is related to luteinization. That is again tells us about the reproductive system because the corpus luteum, that is one of the important as organs which is located in ovary during pregnancy. So the luteinization is one of the important hormones, important functions during reproduction. So the function of LH is involved in reproduction again, similar like FSH. So both FSH and LH helps in reproductive function in our body. So next comes to adrenocorticotropic hormone. So tropic means stimulation and adrenocortic means automatically the name tells it is adrenal cortex. So the function of this hormone is something that helps in stimulation of adrenal cortex to release hormones from adrenal glands. Then the thyroid stimulating hormones, it is very easy. The name suggests that these hormones help in stimulation of thyroid gland to release thyroid hormones. Then prolactin. So lactin means lactation and pro means something that is related to stimulation. So function of prolactin is help in lactation or stimulation of lactation in mammary gland. It helps in production of milk. Then the endorphins. Endorphins means end of pain. So you can remember that these hormones act on nervous system, which helps in decrease of the pain sensation in our body. And lastly, the growth hormone. The name suggests that these hormones helps in the growth of muscle, bone, and cartilage in our body. So you see, if you just remember that mnemonic and the name of these 7 hormones, you can understand the functions of these hormones. Let's go to the posterior pituitary hormones. So I already discussed that these 2 hormones which are produced by hypothalamus, but they are released from posterior pituitary. They are antidiuretic hormone and the oxytocin. So again, the name tells the function. For example, for antidiuretic hormone, the diuretic means the diuresis. That is something which stimulates the urine production in our body. So antidiuretic means the anti of urine production. So the function of antidiuretic hormone is basically the retention of water by the kidneys. So it decreases the urine volume and helps in water balance in our body so that we don't feel dehydrated. The second is the oxytocin. So tocin means something that is related to tonicity or the tonic contraction in our body. So the function of oxytocin is it helps in uterine contractions during childbirth. It also helps in stimulation of milk ejection by contracting the mammary glands. So these are the functions of posterior pituitary hormones. So far we discussed about the endocrine functions of the endocrine system, and then the hypothalamus, pituitary, and how the hypothalamic pituitary axis works in our body, and the individual hormones of hypothalamus and pituitary and their functions. So let's discuss about some clinical point of view or clinical disorders that relate with this pituitary hormone secretion. So here, like I said before, that the hypothalamic and pituitary axis, the main function is to maintain the homeostasis or specific level of hormone in our body. So whenever that hormone level is disturbed, but because that axis is disturbed, then either the hormone is produced too much or very less. So whenever the hormone is produced either too much or very less in our body, that will give rise to some kind of disease or disorders, which are known as endocrine disorders. So let's discuss about some abnormalities that are related with growth hormone secretion. So if the growth hormone is secreted in excess amount, then that will give rise to 2 conditions known as gigantism and acromegaly. So in childhood, if the growth hormone is secreted in excess amount, that will give rise to the condition known as gigantism. Here, as we know that the function of growth hormone is increase the growth of bone. So if the too much growth hormone will be produced in our body, then the growth of the bone will be too much. So the height of the bone will be increasing so high, so very in a high amount that give rise to develop a person very tall and very big. That is known as gigantism. However, if that growth hormone is secreted in excess amount after the puberty, when the metaphysis or epiphysis of the bones are already fused, then that gives rise to the condition known as acromegaly. So here, as the metaphysis and epiphysis are already fused, the bone can no longer grow in lengthwise. But what it will do? Then it will give rise to the condition where bone can grow sideways. So that will give rise to very broad or widening features in the person's body. So the person will have like some coarse features, the protruded chin, the broadening of extremities. The female will have the coarse features like males. So these are the 2 problems which are developed for excess of growth hormone secretion. And similarly, if there is very less growth hormone is secreted in our body, then that will give rise to the condition known as dwarfism. So here, the development of the bone growth is very less, so the person will be very short in height. So now let me tell you one important aspect of these disorders. So if you are a big fan of WWE, the Andre the Giant, then you may think that if the growth hormone will be very high in my body, then I'll be become very tall and big person. and it is very good for my body. But let me tell you, that is not good actually. If the growth hormone is very high in our body, then the person will grow big, but inside it will make very side effects or worse effects in our different organs. Like it will give the bad condition of our heart. It may give rise to several different kind of cancers in our body. So excess of growth hormone makes a very problem in our body. So that is why you may sometimes see that the doctor advise that do not take those foods in the grocery store which have high growth hormone injected conditions, because that may produce some harmful effect in your body. So let's discuss about the second case. So a person comes to your clinic and tells you that the doctor, 1 month back, I had a road traffic accident. For that, I performed brain surgery. And after my brain surgery, when I came back to home, I felt very fatigued and very tired all the time. My appetite got lost and my frequency of urination was increased very much. And also I feel thirsty all the time. So what is my problem? So you take the urine of that patient and send to the lab for the experiments. And you see that the urine is very white, very dilute. It lost that its ULOH change. So what is the diagnosis? You diagnose that the patient has diabetes insipidus. So what is diabetes insipidus? It is the abnormalities of antidiuretic hormone secretion. So as I told before already that antidiuretic hormones' main function is to balance the water in our body so that we don't feel dehydrated. So that person, he had brain surgery and road traffic accident 1 month back. So for that damages the hypothalamus and pituitary gland, which is located in the brain of that person. So as these two glands are damaged, then the antidiuretic hormone production is reduced. So if and then the antidiuretic hormone is very less in that person's body. So that's why then the person feels very thirsty, very weak, the urination is increased, and all those symptoms happen to that person. So you diagnose that the person has diabetes insipidus, and you advise that you have the problem with hormone, which is known as antidiuretic hormone. So keep calm. You need to drink enough amount of liquid to prevent dehydration. Your condition will be good. And if the condition is worsening, sometimes that person also may need the ADH injections. So this is the first sections. We discussed about the hypothalamic pituitary axis, the cabinets, then the functions of the hormones of these two glands.